Hey, I've been reading this script about the parasitic slugs from outer space.
Yeah, how do you like it?
It's great.
Oh, thank you. I
we're
worked.
loving it.
Honestly, it was easy. This is the easiest script I've ever written. It was just like boom, 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 moment after moment. I knew exactly what I wanted the script to be, and it's really becoming it.
Wow, that's great. We've already secured $15 million budget for this.
What? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
But I do have a little bit of a problem with your script.
Okay, well,
There are multiple pages of pet murder. We have on page 8, a dog gets eaten.
yeah, well,
Then
the
again
being,
on page
the,
10.
the parasitic alien eats meat, and so I figured, okay, well,
Well, you didn't have to write it so graphically in the script to where it's like, oh, he grabs the dog and like bites its head off after unhinging its jaw. It's just very, people don't want to see pets dying in movies.
okay, yeah, I guess, but I mean, it eats meat. I don't know, where is it going to get this meat from? It's already gone. It's already gone to the grocery store and bought 14 ribeyes, and like that's a lot of ribeyes to buy in one go.
Okay, well, here's a good example. It says here on page 32 that he picks up a house cat and sucks it inside out through its own butthole.
Yeah, like a straw.
Like a straw. People aren't going to want to be thinking about their own cats getting turned inside out like that. That's gross.
Well, I mean, it's not like not all the animals are cats, so I mean, I don't think that's a big issue.
Yeah, I mean, cats are kind of assholes sometimes.
Yeah, they are. So, I mean, like in this script, there's probably about like 40 dog deaths. I mean, I don't think that's a big
40 dog deaths.
Yeah, and then there's some cats in there too, but I mean, I don't see the problem. What's the problem?
Look, we have to come up with some sort of compromise. I'm pretty sure the MPAA is not going to like this at all.
I mean,
We have to figure out a way to convey that all these pets are dying without showing it.
okay, well, what if we do a montage of like animal deaths?
I think that's even
Like
worse.
all in one go.
We're just going to front load it all?
Yeah. That way they see like, oh, he killed a lot of animals.
No, I don't like. That's what we're trying not to show.
Okay.
We're trying not to keep people from walking out of the theater.
Okay, well, what if it just progressively, like all of a sudden, instead of progressively, it just all of a sudden he's eating meat and then he eats people. I just feel like that's such a big jump.
Okay. All right. So let's say he sees a dog. He sees the neighbor's dog.
Uh-huh.
And then later, when Elizabeth Banks is driving home, she just sees a bulletin board full of a bunch of missing pets. And we can just get around all of it.
You just slayed the cat.
Hey, that's why I'm the producer.
Slay the cat. Slay the cat. Podcast.
Slay the cat is speaking truth. Slay the cat is proof. Here must talk your favorite film. Slay the cat is juiced. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast.
What's up to all my parasitic space slugs out there? You are listening to Slay the Cat, a movie podcast. I am your host, audio presenter, Joey, alongside my co-presenter and wife.
And also an alien larva breeder, Aaron.
Alien larva breeder.
Yeah, you keep saying my wife. I need you to stop at your name. Because I want to introduce myself.
Okay. All right, you want to do it again real quick?
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it again.
All right. What's up to all my parasitic space slugs out there? You are listening to Slay the Cat, a movie podcast. I am your host, audio presenter, Joey.
And I'm his alien larva breeder wife, Aaron.
You know what? That sounds much better than
Yeah.
the way we've been doing
Yep.
it for the past 11
See?
episodes.
See?
Yeah.
You see?
Why didn't you tell me that?
Because it always comes up. You always say stuff, and I'm like, but I had like a really nice planned out statement this time. Other times I'm just like keywords.
Okay, from now on, I will stop when I say I am the host, Joey.
Yeah, perfect. Great job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Did you notice I didn't want to say host because parasites attack the host?
I didn't get it, but that's great. I love that you explained it for me.
Okay. All right. Today we're going to be talking about the 2006 horror comedy sci-fi movie Slither.
Slither.
Yes. But before we do that, it's Pup Date 2024.
Pup date.
Yeah. So this is our first week of having a puppy.
Yep. Well, it's been
No.
it's been a week and a couple days.
Yeah. Because we
Not
got
a
it
couple, a
last
few
Thursday.
days.
And
Because Joey doesn't like whenever I say a couple and I mean more than two.
I don't. It's not that I don't like it. I think it's funny that you say couple and it could mean anywhere from 3 to 10.
It could mean two.
Yeah, it could mean 2 too.
Two to whatever.
Yeah.
If it's more than like 5, I'm like a bunch.
Yeah. Aaron will say couple, and I'll have to specify. It's like, do you mean 2 or something?
My whole family, whenever we've even talked to my family about it. Like, well, how much is a couple? And they're like, I don't know, more than two.
Yeah. But it's been like, we all have something like that. Like, I'm sure I have something that I say that doesn't make sense, or like I can't say PIN. I always have to say PIN number. And, PIN stands for personal identification number. Oh. So I'm saying PIN number.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more that I say, but we all have them. But I love that one.
You could say PIN number.
PIN number. My PIN number.
You're my PIN number.
My PI number.
Yeah.
Well, we've had Giuseppe for a little over a week now, and he is rambunctious.
He is very wild.
Yes,
Wild
he
child.
has come to life. He loves to play.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to bite playfully, and his little teeth are razor sharp.
Yeah, so he likes to try to bite our ankles, which that's fun.
Yeah,
Not. But he's sleeping now.
yeah.
When he's like chill, it's wonderful. Sometimes when he plays around, it's really cute and stuff. But sometimes he gets so riled up, and it's just like, Giuseppe, calm down. You can't calm him down. So
Yeah, anybody who has a puppy out there knows what it's like. Is they just get bounding with energy, and they have to play it out, and then they just pass out.
yeah,
So right now he's passed out in Aaron's lap.
because he's been biting at our ankles for a little while.
Yeah. But anyway. And then also your family was here, and they all got to meet him because we had a surprise party for your mom.
Yes. So today is Mother's Day when we're recording this. And yesterday we had a surprise birthday / Mother's Day party for my mom. I was scared that she was going to find out. There are some people in our family that are not great surprisers.
They're not, well, I mean.
They're not good at like keeping that in.
Yeah.
Like they want to be like, oh yeah. So I was kind of nervous about, because we had about 2 weeks of us knowing about this and then not being able to say anything. And I know she talks to her siblings often.
Yeah.
And so for them to not be like, oh yeah, well, we'll see you on, or giving something away. There were some times when I was at my aunt's that she almost let it out.
Yeah.
So-
Well, you have a big family.
Yes.
And you invited a lot of people, and then you were having a sleepover at your aunt's party at your aunt's house. And you guys were like, oh, we're just going to go to dinner later.
Yeah.
And so it was hard to get all of her siblings there and, cousins and grandchildren.
Yeah.
And all that, like just all these family members there without somebody like spilling the beans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
but you pulled it off.
Yeah.
And you had to get her to a specific restaurant.
Yeah. My cousin and I, we were at my aunt's house before we took them over there, and we were like, oh, it's going to be a Mother's Day little dinner for just us. How many? 3, 6, 7? 7 of us. So, it's just going to be 7 of us. It's going to be fun. And so my cousin was like, oh, well, we should go to BJ's because that's where we planned it. And I was so glad that I told her, I was like, can you suggest it? So she's not like, why is Aaron suggesting everything, or why is Aaron acting weird? Mm-hmm. So we pulled it off, and she didn't stop smiling the entire time we were there.
Yeah, she was
so happy.
We were watching when she walked in the door so we could yell surprise, and like it took her a minute to register.
Yeah, that we were there. that everyone else was there.
Yeah.
Like there's a video of her and she looks directly at them but doesn't realize. So, but when she realized, she just couldn't stop smiling. And she kept being like, Aaron, where are you going? Because I kept walking in instead of stopping. Uh-huh. Because I saw them as soon as I walked in.
Oh, like to stop and talk to the
she was
hostess.
She was like, why are you just walking in? We need to talk to them. Because also while we were there, or before we got there, she was like, do we need to make a reservation? And I was like, no, we're fine. You just walk in. So it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was a really good time.
Yeah, everything worked out really good. She had no idea, and I can't think of anybody more deserving to have such a fun family party than your mom.
Yeah, she's a fantastic person. Has such a good heart. I love her so much. I'm so glad I could do that for her.
Yeah, me too. And I had fun being part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I was going to say something else about Giuseppe.
Okay.
Oh, my family was here, and so they got to like see him and play with him, and we have found out that he is a socialite. He loves being around other people.
Yeah, he really likes attention.
Yeah, we haven't had him around very many dogs yet. So, but last night he smelled another dog's butt, so that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
So he's a socialite with people. We're going to build him up to becoming a socialite with dogs too.
Yeah, he is still a bit of a nervous Nelly. Mm-hmm. I tried to pick him up earlier and he started yelping. I was like, what's going on? But yeah, he's getting there. And you were at your aunt's house, but like your brothers were over here and your dad. And they were just passing him around, and he didn't have any problem with it.
Yeah, he probably loved the attention.
Yeah, he absolutely loved it.
So yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyways.
Okay, so the 2006 Slither. Aaron, did you know anything about this movie?
No. Honestly, whenever you told me, when you gave me suggestions, you were talking about either Slither or what was the other one? Splice.
No, wait. No. Or you mean?
What was the other movie that you suggested before?
Oh, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer?
Yeah. So when we were talking about that, whenever he said Slither, I thought he was talking about the movie Splice, which is like another alien movie.
I thought they made like a weird creature in that movie.
I have no clue what that movie is about.
I've seen it.
I just know there's like a lady with a tail.
Yeah, I think it's called Splice because they do a bunch of gene editing to create some sort of being, but I don't remember.
I've never seen it, so I don't know.
I saw it a long time ago. I don't remember, but I was like, I want to do a Michael Rooker film. You know who Michael Rooker is?
I do not.
He was the guy who played the guy who got infected by the alien in this movie.
Oh, okay.
Well, he's the lead in Henry, A Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Oh, okay.
And if you looked close enough, you might recognize him as Merle from The Walking Dead.
Merle.
Yeah, remember that?
Oh, yeah. Like he had the brother.
Yeah.
Like okay.
Yeah.
Daryl's brother.
Yeah, he was Daryl's brother, and he was like the crazy racist guy.
Yeah.
But he was one of the best characters on that show, I thought, and then they killed him off. I stopped watching the show pretty shortly after that. So I was like, I want to do a Michael Rooker movie. So I asked you which one you'd rather see, and you said that. We'll watch Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer later. That's a really great movie, but it kind of falls in the same category as Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where
Okay.
like the ambiance of the movie is really frightening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that.
Well, this movie really wasn't scary. It was more funny than anything.
Yeah, this was a comedy horror movie for sure. Yeah. The movie came out in 2006. I've said that like a billion times already. It was directed by James Gunn. He is the director who did, I think, all 3 of the Guardian of the Galaxy movies. But this was his first movie that he directed.
Wow.
It stars Nathan Fillion, Elizabeth Banks, Greg Henry, and Michael Rooker, along with some Canadians. This movie was filmed in Canada, so it has a lot of Canadians in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know who's all Canadian.
I don't either. All the people who said a boot.
I don't remember them saying a boot.
I think Nathan Fillion is technically Canadian. Yeah. Do you like Nathan Fillion?
He looked familiar, but I don't really know I don't know him.
Oh, yeah. I'm a fan of his, too, so it was fun to watch this movie.
I've always liked Elizabeth Banks, though.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, I like her a lot, too. What are your general impressions of the movie?
Well, going into it, I didn't think it was going to be a comedy. I mean, it's not a comedy, but it's a comedy. So I wasn't expecting that. So
I would say that it's mostly a horror movie, but there's a lot of horror movies that are funny too.
yeah, but I think they purposely were trying to be funny.
Yeah, they were purposely trying to be funny, but it's like Shaun of the Dead
Yeah.
is a comedy, a zombie comedy. This is a horror movie that has funny lines in it and like funny characters. But I wouldn't say like, oh, they were going for a comedy.
Well, okay. Yeah. Sure. I found it to be almost there were several points I was like, "Oh wait, is this a comedy?" Because it was so heavy. So if it was a horror film that had funny parts, it was very heavily influenced by comedy.
Yes, it leans into comedy a lot, and I think that was because they were trying to get more than just the horror.
horror film.
Yeah, the horror fans to go see it, but they weren't very successful because the budget was $15 million and they only made back $12.8 million.
Oh, okay.
So it was a failure. But it is a good movie, and it holds a good score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Does it?
Yeah. I don't remember what it was. It's got an 87% out of 141 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
Yeah. And Fangoria gave it the Chainsaw Award for highest body count and garnered nominations in categories relationship from Hell, Dude, You Don't Want to Mess With, and Looks That Kill. What did I just say?
I have no idea.
All right.
Yeah. Anyways.
Some people liked it.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty funny. Like it looks pretty good. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, I like this movie. It looks good. It's got a lot of good actors in it. And it's got a good mix of practical and digital effects. Like there was a lot of really good practical effects.
Yeah.
Like gory stuff and like some of the slugs moving around. It wasn't all CG, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
And this movie also pays homage to a lot of other horror movies.
I could tell the meteor coming down. That makes me think of like the Blob. I think that's what
Yeah,
the Blob comes in on a meteor. There's a lot of aliens that come like. I mean, a lot of alien movies have this kind of feel.
Yeah, it also has like a little bit of The Thing in it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because that was like an alien that came in and like took over people's bodies and stuff like that.
And took over
Pets, yeah, that's right.
Poor thing.
Yeah, there's a a nod to Nightmare on Elm Street in this.
Oh, what is that one?
The bathtub where the little slug is swimming
Oh.
towards her. In Nightmare on Elm Street, it's Freddy's claw in the bathtub instead of the
Swimming
slug.
towards her.
Yeah.
Swim, swim, swim.
Swim, swim, swim. His little claws kicking the water.
I see it like oscillating his hand. Yeah.
Wow.
It looked like sperm.
The slugs?
Yep.
Yeah.
In the tub, it looked very sperm-like.
This movie is very like sexual and rapey kind of because of
Yeah.
the tentacles that come out of his chest and penetrate people. It's very themes of rape in it.
Yep.
You know?
Definitely.
In a real fucked up way. All right, so you have any other thoughts about it you want to get out
Well,
now?
speaking of that, something that someone said something on a social platform about how like horror films make men uncomfortable because they feel vulnerable for the first time. So like what that means is when like women are feeling like the fear of being raped constantly. It's a constant thing going on. But men, they see this and they're like, "Oh, that's so creepy," because they don't have as much of a fear of that, and they feel more vulnerable. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure that tracks, but okay.
Okay.
It's still like, I mean, I agree with you that women are always like afraid of being raped and have to think about that. But I'm like, I don't think for a man watching a movie is really gonna give them that same fear. It's something on a screen. There's a big gap between like watching a scary movie and like feeling the fear of being raped.
Well, it's not just rape, but just being attacked.
Yeah. Okay.
Women are attacked a lot, so that was their theory.
Okay.
Who knows if it's anything. Anyways, yeah, let's get into the movie.
All right. So the movie starts in asteroid is hurtling towards Earth.
What's the difference between an asteroid and a meteor?
I do not know.
Okay.
Let me email Neil deGrasse Tyson real quick.
Okay. Anyways, I put meteor down. That's why I asked.
Oh, okay.
Because you put asteroid, and I was like, oh, what's the difference?
I really don't know.
Oh, well. Whatevs. Something lands in town.
Yeah. And then we go to a cop car, and it's got the sheriff, played by Nathan Fillion, and some other dude, his deputy. And they're having a very rousing conversation about this guy's
speed of a bird.
Yeah, he like clocks a bird flying or something like that. And then he's like, I've done this so many times, I can tell how fast a car is going within like 2 miles per hour. And Nathan Fillion's like, wow, that's really great.
And he puts his hat back on his face and goes to sleep.
Yeah.
And then you see the meteor or asteroid or whatever it is fall behind them.
Yeah, it shoots and you see it through the back window of their car because the camera's shooting in through the windshield. And then it shows the meteor hit the ground in the woods and it splits open. And then we get the opening credits.
Yeah. And it's super goopy looking, the little meteor.
Yeah, it looks all red. And then it goes through this shitty town. Like, I don't understand why they were showing like shots of this town and the town being like podunk or whatever.
I think it's just supposed to be like, oh, it's a small rural town.
Yeah, I mean,
close to many other things.
But it seems like they were saying like, oh, the people around here are meth heads or something.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Because they were like showing shots of like people who look like they were on drugs or something. So I don't know.
Well, maybe that's just their idea of podunk towns, which is not far off, actually. There's a lot of meth heads in my hometown.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, like, they could have just... I don't understand what they were going for, because if they just wanted to show it being like a small town in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of hicks, they could have done that. But they had this whole... It felt like they were trying to like set up the town as like a meth town or something.
No, I didn't see that part.
Oh.
If I did, I didn't realize it.
No, maybe it was just me.
Maybe.
But anyway, then there's a guy in a car, and he's like honking at someone in front of him and like cursing at him. And then somebody says, "Oh, hi, Mayor," or whatever.
Oh.
And he turns to the side and he's like, "Oh, hi." So that's how we find out that that guy is the mayor.
And he's a jerk.
Yeah, and he's a jerk. So they set up his character game real quick. He's a real loudmouth guy. And if you're ever like writing a script and you're like, "Oh, how do I let people know that this person is somebody?" Just have some random extra just go, "Hey, blah blah blah." Like, how do I
Hey, title.
Yeah, like, "Hey, how do I let the people know that this character is a teacher?" You go, "Oh, hi, Miss whatever. Are we taking that biology test?" Mm-hmm. You know, and the people, "Oh, it's a teacher."
Or have them teaching in front of it.
Yeah.
In front of it. Because that's what they did for Elizabeth Grant's character.
Yeah, but let's
Or
say
Elizabeth Banks.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm also saying, like, what if you need to set it up right away and they're not going to be in the classroom or whatever? But people get caught up in these things to where they're like, "Oh, the character has to say it. So, hi, my name is Dr. whatever. I'm the town doctor." It's like, no, you can have somebody else call them doctor or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so we see Grant. I can't remember. Stella. That's her name. Or
Starla.
Starla Grant. And she is a teacher. So, and she's supposed to be this hot teacher. And all the boys are kind of like fawning over her. And one kid starts drawing her naked.
Yeah. And the drawing is way too good. Mm-hmm. But like his girlfriend nudges him, like, "What are you doing?"
Is that his girlfriend? Or?
Oh, it could have just been some girl.
I think it was the same girl that later on in the movie.
Oh, the one who can like see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So.
And then she is teaching a lesson about natural selection, survival of the fittest. And she's saying, like, it's not always the smartest or the strongest that survives. It's the people who are most adapt to their living situation.
Yeah.
Who are naturally selected. And that is true. Mm-hmm. Sometimes in movies they feed you bullshit. Like they tell you that a T-Rex's hunting is based on movement. Apparently that isn't true.
What is it based off of?
I don't know. It's a dinosaur. They died millions of years before people.
I
They
don't.
also had feathers, apparently.
Yeah, I could see that. But I don't get what you mean. Like, what do you?
Sometimes in movies they make up fake science.
Oh, okay.
And that's what they did that for the T-Rex in Jurassic Park.
Oh,
But
okay.
what she's explaining is real.
Real science, guys.
Yeah.
She's a biologist.
Exactly. And then they show her after class, and she's talking to some fellow teacher who we will never see again. But he's saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a place in what was it?
I don't know.
Oh man, Cambodia or something like that." Which is a bad investment, I think. I don't know why you'd want to buy property in Cambodia. But then her husband, played by Michael Rooker, walks up and takes her by the arm. And the teacher's like, "Hey, hey, Grant, how's it going?" And he's like, "Yeah." He doesn't say anything.
I don't know why I can't remember this part.
You don't?
I remember her teaching, and then I remember the kid saying, "Gina,"
Oh, yeah.
because she's talking to the sheriff, isn't she?
No, she was talking to another teacher.
I thought that was the sheriff.
And then her husband comes and gets her, and he's like, she's like, "Oh, he's going to let me borrow his lesson plan." And he's like, "I know what he wants to borrow."
Your Gina. He says your vagina.
No, that's what he says to the female deputy, the sheriff.
That's what I said. The sheriff says Gina.
Yeah, the sheriff does, but
This is-
not Grant.
Okay.
That's what he says to his wife.
Okay. This all was happening very fast.
Yeah, this movie books. Like this movie is like just very snappy. But then it goes to introduce our police officers. So we see the sheriff and two of his deputies, and they're talking. And one deputy says, like, "Oh, that's a pair that I never saw together."
Yeah.
And so
And then one of the other people says, "Oh, well, he paid for her college and like she was I don't know, she couldn't afford anything. She was poor and like
she grew up poor with an alcoholic father. And
yeah, that's what it was.
Grant shows up and he's comes from a rich family.
And so he puts her up in his house and pays for her college so that she can actually have a career.
Yeah. And then he said, he says,
Which I mean, that's very nice of him to do that. Like, how much older is he compared to her?
I don't know, not that much older.
Yeah,
but
so
it's just like they're setting up that it's a kind of a marriage of convenience.
yeah,
You know, I mean, if you grew up poor and then you got the opportunity to like somebody with
Wealthy
money
guy.
came and was like trying to woo you, I'm sure you'd go for it too. You know,
depends.
I probably would.
I married dirt poor, so so I don't
mean,
get that. But I mean, that's fine.
I'll be gay for pay. I don't care.
Gay for pay?
You've never heard that?
Yes, I've heard that. No, I'm saying you gay for pay?
No.
What?
No, I just got a job. But anyway, he says
You just got one.
to set up that one of the deputies is a lesbian. She says something bad about him, and he's like, "Hey, if Grant had a gina, you'd probably marry him too."
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's
I
their
didn't
way
hear
of,
that.
Yeah.
I didn't understand like why Gina was put in there.
He says it really fast.
Yeah.
But and then her son goes, "What's a gina?" And he goes, "It's a country."
Oh yeah, he goes, "It's a country where it's
Where
where
they
the Chinese come from."
Yeah, or do they speak Chinese or something like that?
No, it's where Chinese come from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, God, it's terrible.
Yeah. But that's, this is good writing because they set up everybody real quick in a snappy way because they're just putting out a bunch of exposition, but they do it in a smart way that feels like real banter between real people.
Yeah.
So
it's
that
not
was-
like I'm this and I'm this,
Hi, I'm the lesbian deputy, and you're the young deputy who
Yeah.
doesn't get how things work yet. Like
Yeah. That's pretty good. And then we cut to later on in the Grant house, and Starla is going to bed, and her husband Grant comes over to her and tries to make the moves on her, but she's like, "I'm not feeling it. I don't want to." And he's like, "Well, you never feel like you want to."
and she's like, I don't just have a switch that you can be turned on,
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Sure you do."
And then he starts flicking her tits. And she rolls over and
Yeah, she says like that's disrespectful. So you find out that she does have some self-esteem. She's not just like that. I think this is what this whole scene is to set up. Is like she has high self-esteem and she's in control and she won't be disrespected and things like that.
so then Grant like gets out of bed and he starts putting his clothes on real fast, and she's like, "Well, where are you going?" And he says, "For a walk."
Yep.
So we then cut to this bar where they're singing karaoke, and that is the worst karaoke song ever.
The crying game.
I've never heard that song ever.
You never have?
I have never heard that song, but I wanted to ask you, what do you think is the worst karaoke song?
Like, what's the worst song to sing at karaoke?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably like Rush's YYZ.
There's no words to that.
Yeah, it's an instrumental.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like you want me to ask you what the worst karaoke song is.
No. I wanted to see what you were going to say.
I don't know.
I figured you were
going
to say like tequila. Because it's spun out. It's very similar to a instrumental only. The only thing that they say is tequila.
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman does it in.
Yeah.
Da, na, 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 na.
But he dances, so.
Yeah, but
But she was very like stoic, like I'm singing into this microphone and that's it, and I'm not giving any emotion.
But you've been to karaoke and seen people singing like that, right?
Yeah.
I've seen people.
It was funny because I was like, yep, that's very honest.
I've seen people sing so monotonely at karaoke. I'm like, have so much respect for you. You're such a terrible singer, and you get up there and
Yeah.
I never get up to do karaoke.
I know.
I'm way too afraid to do it. So I have respect for those people.
Yeah.
So he's there, and some woman walks up to him and is like, "Oh, hey, do you remember me?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "You dated my sister, and I had a
Okay.
thing
I thought
for
it was
you."
Starla's sister.
No.
Because she starts talking about, like, oh, like my sister, and I've always had a crush on you. And I was like, bitch, you're trying to put the moves on your sister's husband? Bitch. But I was like, honest for a small town. But everyone knows that he's married.
That's some Jerry Springer shit right there.
Yeah. Small town shit.
Yeah. Yeah, so they he's starved for attention. His wife doesn't pay attention to him, so he's like, "Oh, this woman wants to hang out with me."
Also, this is something that Brenda says. She says, he's talking to her, and she was like, "I've always had a crush on you." And he was like, "What were you, like 10?" And she said, "Yeah, but I was still game," which also very honest to a small town.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on, little kids get crushes on adults.
Oh yeah, but also like to say that I was game at 10 years old.
Yeah, I know.
That's weird.
But I think that's what they were saying. It's just like, oh, she had a little kid crush on.
Yeah.
Oh my God, when someone tells you like their little cousin thinks you're cute or something, it's so off-putting. I hate it when people do that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, great, thank you for letting me know. Next time I see your little cousin, I'm gonna be so
weirded out.
embarrassed.
Yeah.
So they go out to the woods, and she shows them where she carved their initials into a tree. And this part was really funny to me because her initials are BM.
I didn't realize it.
Yeah, that's why he's like, "You ain't nothing but a little old shit."
Is that what he said?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I didn't get that.
He calls her like turd girl or something.
Oh my
like that.
gosh.
But it's kind of funny. And so then they all of a sudden they're like start making out.
And he's like, I can't do that. He stops her from kissing him, and he's like, I can't do this to Starla.
Yeah, he says, "Oh, I gotta get home. Starla's gonna get worried about me when I stay out too late." So he does have some
Moral high ground.
Yeah, he's got some morality going.
But then while they're about to leave, he sees this like slimy, icky mess from the meteor. And he says, "Oh, well, there's a little path. Let's follow it." And Brenda seems like, "I don't know if I should do this. This seems weird." But he follows her, or she follows him, and they stumble upon this like icky, like blob thing. And he pokes it with
looks like
a stick.
geode that got split in half, but it's got goo inside of it instead of like crystals or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it opens up and it shoots like a little spear thing into his chest.
Yeah.
Like is that called a
It
sternum?
looked like a vagina whenever it opened up. I was like, ew.
But it hit him like in the sternum. Is that what that's called right there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then it crawls into his body, and then it does like a weird X-ray shot,
Which was weird.
I
get they were trying to show that it was going to his brain, but they could have done something else.
Yeah, it was a little out of place, but I thought it looked cool at least.
Yeah, it did look cool.
Yeah, but it definitely did feel out of place
Because they didn't do anything like that any other time.
No, they didn't.
So
Yeah,
it was a little odd.
yeah. I definitely it feels out of place. Mm-hmm. But it shows the thing crawling up to his brain, and he dies in that moment. Mm-hmm. And he is now taken over by this
Parasite.
space creature. Yeah. And he returns home, and he just starts taking all the meat out of the refrigerator.
Oh, yeah, and he keeps saying meat.
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 And he goes in the basement and makes like a bed out of leaves and stuff.
Yeah, and he like hops on it. And he's
Yeah.
trying to make himself comfortable. And she wakes up to her alarm clock. I don't know what has come over her, but she's now horny.
Yeah, well, I think she just feels bad
Oh.
because of what happened the night before.
Yeah.
But what did you think about Michael Rooker's acting? Like, do you feel like there was a definite like change in his
definitely.
character? Yeah, But I thought it was still kind of subtle early in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It was a good progression. Like he did a really great job progressing to this monster.
Yeah.
But he comes out from the basement and she's like in a robe and there's this song playing and she's like, we haven't heard this song in a long time.
And it's, you're every woman in the world to me.
I've never heard that song either.
I feel like it's Air Supply. Let me see. Every woman. No, that's not. Woman in
Yep, you're right.
Air Supply.
I've never heard of that band either.
Yeah, they're not very well known. I know about them because there was an SNL sketch that I really liked, where Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan were pretending to be Air Supply. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how I know about them. But it was like adult contemporary music. So
Yeah, which it sounds like. But they do it. And she opens up his shirt and she sees like the wound from the thing. And he says, oh, it's just a bug bite.
Well, right before that, she gives this whole spiel about like, I'm sorry. And, like, I'm not being a good wife to you. You have needs. And like, she's like caressing his hand and he starts crying.
Yeah.
And so she's like, oh, he's sensitive. But what's really happening is this alien being has never experienced love before. Right? So he's like, oh, this is what love feels like.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Which they allude to that later in the movie. I'm not just making that up.
I'm trying to think when that was.
I have it written down.
He cries later on too.
Yeah.
But anyways.
So I have it written down. So when we get to it, I'll bring it up.
Okay. So they do it, and then we cut to Starla's at school.
Oh my God! Someone's at the door.
What? We just got a letter. We just got a letter. Let's see what's at the door. Who's at the door? So it cuts to the school.
Oh
and,
yeah, she's in the teacher's lounge.
Yeah, and so when she goes to the teacher's lounge, she's talking to her friend, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know if I should talk about this." And she's like, "You're a married woman; it's okay." And she just described how Grant was different, and he was like discovering her body, which that sounds nice. Like he was just discovering it.
Yeah,
which he was
because he was a different person.
Because he's he's not a person; he's an alien.
Yeah,
now.
he's an alien. Yeah, which is
the parasite is discovering her body, which that creeped me out. But it's true.
Yeah, but this is good writing to hammer home the point that that's not Grant anymore. That's an alien. Just in case, like my screenwriting professor used to say, so that all the mouth breathers and knuckle draggers will be caught up.
Yeah.
And then he goes and buys a bunch of meat.
Yeah, he goes to the store and he's looking at he's at the meat counter looking at all this stuff, and
he looks very happy.
Oh yeah, he keeps saying meat, meat. And the counter clerk comes up and he's like, "Oh, what can I get you?" And he's like, "Can I have 8 ribeyes?" "No, actually, give me 10. Give me 2." I'm just kidding.
Hey, Utah, give me 2.
But he's like, "No, actually, give me 14." And he's like, "What's going on? Do you have like a party or something?" And he's like, "Yeah." He was like, "Do you have a party for Stella or something?" And he said, "Starla." And he's like, "Yeah, that's what it is."
Yep. And then he goes home and he opens up the tailgate of his Chevy Avalanche, and there's a bunch of meat in there. And then it cuts to like Starla's at home and she's doing laundry and she notices that there's a lock on the basement. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "What's going on down there?" And he's like, "Well, I mean, I don't think you should be asking so many questions since your birthday's coming up."
Yeah. And she's like, "My birthday's not for 2 more months."
Yeah. And he says, "Matter of opinion."
Yeah. She's like, it's not close. And that's when he says matter of opinion.
Yeah. So he's obviously hiding something. And then later, he goes outside because he starts to feel sick, and he sees a dog.
And then it cuts to black, and we hear the dog whine.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say and then we don't know anything about that dog.
Oh, yeah.
I really feel like they cut out some pet stuff in this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I feel like they had some gruesome pet deaths, and then they're like, we can't put that in the movie, and people will riot.
Yeah.
People get really upset about killing animals, especially dogs. I feel like never really bothered me, but some people will not go see a movie if a dog dies.
Yeah.
in it.
But then right after that, we see Stella driving, and she drives past. Is that when she drives past?
No, she's in the shower.
Oh.
In the next scene, and then
Oh, yeah, because it's going to be the deer cheer, which I thought that was so funny. The deer cheer.
Yeah, and then he comes in
wait,
there.
something else that I noticed that I thought was funny. On the sign outside of the high school, it was like, go Cooters. Their mascot were the Cooters.
What's a cooter?
A vagina, maybe?
I
don't
know that's like. Oh, it's a turtle.
Oh, okay.
Synonym is Sudemis? It's a freshwater turtle from the United States and North Mexico. Seems like a bad mascot though.
Yeah. The turtles. I think they just wanted to put Cooters on there.
That's probably what it was.
Which tells me like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be a funny comedy.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Michael Rooker walks into the bathroom while she's taking a shower, and then he can't contain himself, so his little sausage things come out of his chest.
well, because they need to breed.
Yeah.
So his he's looking in the mirror and he's sweating, and she's like, I'm gonna hop in the shower, and he's sweating because his body's like, this needs to get rid of. I need to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And his body, he goes to the shower and his little tentacles things come out, like you said, but he stops himself.
Yeah, because he loves her.
Yeah. She's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I can't stay I'll meet you at the deer cheer.
Yeah, he says he makes up an excuse that he left something at work.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll meet you at the deer cheer. And then it cuts to the deer cheer. And this is apparently some celebration they have at the opening of
Hunting season
or deer season. And because that's probably how the town makes a lot of its money is from deer hunters coming in. Mm-hmm. And it shows the sheriff, Nathan Fillion, sitting by the bar. And he's like, I can't understand why somebody would buy $1,000 gun just to be able to shoot a cute little deer in the face. Oh. So they're illustrating that the sheriff is like a gentle guy who doesn't like to use violence.
And he keeps staring at Starla.
Yeah.
Which she's dressed in an interesting attire for a deer.
Well, yeah. Well, it's supposed to be showing that she lives in a more upscale life than
a lot of the rest
people.
of the town.
Yeah. So she's wearing like a fancier dress, like something you would wear to a nice restaurant, like a Michelin star rated restaurant.
But the sheriff sees her and she leaves. She leaves the room at one point, and he goes to talk to her, and you can see that they know each other well, and they're reminiscing kind of.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of sexual tension between them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't remember what did they talk about though?
Was that one? Oh no, that's later. I don't remember what they talked about, but they were like giggling and.
Yeah. Oh, I remember she's like, "How are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm trying to get a buzz on, but I can't. I think it's because I got too much muscle mass."
Oh yeah, he's like saying, "I'm buff, too fit,"
which is a good one.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Rooker, and he's going to see the turd girl from the night before.
Yes. So he goes to her house, and she has this baby with her.
a big-headed baby. That
Yeah.
baby's head was huge.
It was. It was a cute little baby though.
Yeah, a cute baby. I mean, babies are cute
Just
even
large
if
head.
babies are cute even if they're ugly.
Yeah.
You know, nothing cuter than an ugly baby. But he goes and he's like, "Wow, you're looking good," and says she looks like chocolate or something like that.
Oh, yeah. He was like, you look like chocolate for my eyes or something like that.
Yeah.
And he so he comes in. I guess she puts the baby down, and there's one point where he goes and his chest is starting, like you can hear the chest because it makes like this kind of sound.
Yeah,
in the movie
it has a sound cue.
But he like goes and looks at the baby, and the baby's holding a tomato. And then
Was it a real tomato or was it like
it
a
looked
toy?
like a real tomato. Do you not remember looking at it?
No, I do. I remember seeing it and going, "Oh, I bet the director doesn't have children."
If it wasn't a real tomato, then that was a very realistic toy tomato.
Yeah. But if you watch movies and you wonder yourself like, "Oh, why did they do that with a baby?" You know, why did they leave that baby unattended for so long? It's most likely because the director or the writer was never a parent.
Yeah.
They don't have kids, so they don't know what people are supposed to do with children.
Yeah.
Like there's one in Jason Goes to Hell. Somebody takes a baby and puts it in a apple crate in a kitchen.
Oh.
Like the baby could fall out of the apple crate.
Yeah.
It's like it's very clear that that young director just didn't ever have kids and thought that you could leave a baby in an apple crate. Nothing happens to the baby in that movie though, thankfully.
So it then like goes to Brenda, who's on the couch and she's taking her shirt off.
Yeah.
And he kind of like leans down like he's gonna kiss her, but he opens up his shirt, or he's opening his shirt because she thinks they're gonna get it on, but he's opening it so that the little tentacle things can come out.
Yeah.
So it then goes and it attaches to Brenda through her stomach, and she's like convulsing, and you see it like pumping something into her. At first I thought it was going out of her, like it was like eating her from the inside. But then I realized that the direction of it was going into her.
Right. And while all this is happening,
it was moaning while it did that.
Yeah.
So it was like, that's its sex.
yeah, and it looks like Michael Rooker looks relieved, you know, like he's getting something out that was causing him stress and pain. And while all this is going on, the mayor is giving a speech at the deer cheer about how God said that man will, you know, reign over the fish in the seas and stuff like that. And then he's like, well, let's go kill some deer and stuff like that. And that's happening like concurrently. They're cutting between that tension. And I really like it. I thought that was an interesting way to do that. And then they start playing some country song. Do you remember what the country song was?
No.
No. It was like a funny song, though.
There's a lot of funny songs in this.
Yeah, but this one was like, man, I wish I could think of it. I should have written it down. But it was really fitting for the situation. It was like a nice juxtaposition to what was going on.
Anyways, so it's the next day. Or is it that night? And Brenda's back at the house.
Yeah, she goes home late, and then she's
looking around for him.
Yeah, she has to turn on the lights, and he comes out, and his head's all swollen. And he's like, "Oh, I just got stung by a bee." And she's like, "Well, you should go see the doctor." And he's like, "Well, I already did." Yeah.
And so she's just, I don't guess she's just like, okay, whatever. And then the next day she's at work and she calls the doctor.
Yeah, she calls the doctor for a follow-up. And the doctor's like,
I haven't seen him in a year.
Yeah, and you'll never guess who the voice of that doctor was.
Who?
It was Rob Zombie.
Ew. Gross.
Isn't that weird though?
Yeah.
But like he just showed up on set that day. It was
I guess.
maybe he was shooting Halloween in Vancouver or something like that. And he just happened to be around. It's kind of weird.
Maybe.
Yeah, and then so she freaks out and she's like, "What the hell's going on?" And as she's driving home, she drives by something and there's like 100 lost pet signs.
Yeah.
Yeah, on some bulletin
That's when
board
that
somewhere.
happens.
Yeah,
So she's just kind of suspicious of things. I'm trying to look at my notes. Oh, something that I like whenever he goes to Brenda that night and he's talking to her about like, oh, I got stung by bees. I put the note that he looks like he's transforming into the Fly, which very much so does. He looks like.
This movie has tones of the Fly in it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the transformation that he goes through, but he turns into more like of a squid monster.
Yeah, like a octopus.
Yeah,
Which they even joke about at the later on.
yeah, in
So-
the sheriff's office. But anyway, so we find out that Rooker is keeping Brenda in a barn somewhere.
Yeah,
And feeding her like
raw
animals.
meat.
Yeah, raw meat and animals.
But when he goes, like after he talks to Brenda, he goes down to the basement and he grabs a bunch of things. It's a bunch of meat, and he's like putting it in these bags, and then it goes like you see him walking in the woods to Brenda.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when he gives her the meat, and she's like, "I don't want to eat it. I'm just so hungry, though."
Yeah.
And so she reluctantly eats it though, because the people that are infected by or like that are breeders are aware they're not dead. It's not until later that people become like zombie like
Right.
Grant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they haven't. None of the slugs have come out yet. So then, Sheriff Bill, he comes to Starla's house to talk to her, and he's like, "Oh, this woman went missing, and right before she went missing, people saw Grant leaving her house." And she's like, "Well, it couldn't have been Grant. Maybe it was just somebody that looked like him or something."
Yeah, but he's not here, so they give her their card.
Right. And he says, if you find out anything,
No,
give me
he
a call.
says like whenever he gets here, call us.
Oh yeah, that's right. He says whenever Grant shows up, let us know.
So she goes into the house, and
She gets a baseball bat and breaks the lock to the basement so she can find out what's been going on in there. Because now it's just too much. Too much is going on. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So she finds all the animals that he's been eating down there.
yeah,
And we see like the dog that he saw earlier in the movie. And then she comes back up and immediately tries to call the sheriff.
yeah. And when she calls him, it goes to voicemail
Yep.
initially. And then we see Grant pop up, and he's even more deformed now.
Yeah, well, it's really creepy because she's pacing back and forth, and she walks by a window, and no one's there. But then when she walks by the window a second
That's
time,
later.
No, that's right now. Yeah, when she's trying to call the sheriff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then so he's there the second time she walks by the window, and then the third time she walks by the window, she sees him.
Yeah.
And freaks out.
And because then she goes to the door to try to shut him out.
Yeah.
And she goes out to, I think she goes to the back door to leave, and he's right there because she opens the door and he's there.
Yeah.
And then he comes inside, and he like he was like, I thought I could trust you. And because he hears her talking on the phone, like to this guy.
Yeah. And then he's going to try to transfer to her and use her as like a egg sac or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And his arm like turns into like a tentacle.
Like, it like breaks.
Yeah.
Which was really gross looking, but kind of cool.
Yeah.
But he like breaks his arm and like starts choking her. And then that's when the sheriff and his deputies come inside.
Yeah. And they point their guns at him, but they don't want to shoot because, he's still somebody that they know. Mm-hmm. So he just gets up and runs away.
And his arm slaps everything. It was really funny looking.
Yeah, his arm that he can't really control yet, like knocks over a lamp and a table and it hits the
Well,
door.
I think it's because he broke all of his bones in there, and he
Maybe.
can't really control it. It's just flopping around.
Yeah, but it is funny. But that's what I like. A lot of the humor in this movie isn't like bold-faced jokes. It's just like,
Yeah.
wow, isn't that weird? Or
Yeah, it's real
wasn't that
funny.
goofy?
Yeah.
That's what I like about this movie. It's not trying too hard.
Yeah.
You know, like Shaun of the Dead, they were sitting down writing that movie and like, let's write more jokes. They were trying to put as
Yeah.
many jokes in that because it was a comedy. This movie is just like, oh, we have these kooky characters that do kooky things.
Let's add some little funny things that people might notice.
Yeah, or they kind of just write themselves
Mm-hmm.
because, like, you know, it's an absurd thing for to be happening.
Yeah.
And then we get a little title card that says 3 days later. Or if you watch a lot of YouTube, it'd be 3 days later.
That's from SpongeBob.
Yeah, but they use it on the internet all the time.
Okay. Well, it's from SpongeBob,
I know it's from SpongeBob.
not from the internet. Anyways, so it's 3 days past, and they're in the sheriff department or the station, the police station, and they're saying like, "Oh, well, we have to get Grant." And is that when the 3 thing happens?
What? When the 3
Well, because
days?
all of the deputies are like, "We saw it," and the mayor's like, "I don't believe you."
Oh yeah, the mayor. He's doing the mayor from Jaws thing, where it's like my town makes money from hunting, and if this whole Weekly World News story gets out about an octopus man,
Yeah.
then no one's gonna want to come hunting here. So the sheriff is freaking out, and then people are like leaving like little squid,
Yeah, little things that have tentacles all over.
yeah, like a stuffed animal to make fun of the guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got that lady from The Office.
Yeah.
Whose
Her name
name
is
I don't-
Shelby in the movie.
Yeah, she's the dispatcher.
Oh, that's what that's called.
Yeah, and she gets a call that there's a report of another dead animal. Mm-hmm. So they go and they look at the animal.
Well, yeah, they go to look at the animal and they see like there's not just one animal. There's like 4 animals that have died.
Yeah,
And they realize like, oh, well, there's all these woods around. Maybe he's targeting these farms on the edge of town because they're close by. Because in this one scene, they have this dog split in half, and then there's a cow that's also mutilated. But then also they go into the tall grass, and this guy picks up a dog head.
yeah. and he's
It
like,
was
"Look,
very funny looking.
They knocked this dog's head clean over here.
Yeah. And then the lesbian deputy says, well, there was a cow and they dragged it through the wood,
Yeah,
So
there's drag
how can
marks.
one person do that?
Yeah,
So it's showing that the creature is very strong and like,
Yeah.
it's not just it's not actually Grant anymore.
yeah. Because a cow's got to weigh like at least 1,000 pounds,
I
right?
have no idea.
But I mean, they're big.
They are
Yeah.
big. Yeah. Just knocking one over, like cow tipping, that's hard.
I've heard that's not even really a thing. Like you
People
can't-
do. Yeah.
Oh, people do it.
Yeah.
Okay, because I heard that it was a thing, and then I heard later that it wasn't a real thing. That it was like some hoax that people made up.
No, you can knock a cow over.
I mean, I'm sure you could, but is it something that people actually go do?
I don't think people do it often.
Because I'd be afraid of like getting kicked or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was just a thing that was like in Tommy Boy, and then people started saying like it was a real thing.
No, people. I don't. Maybe I've never done it, so I mean, maybe it is fake.
What's the worst thing you've ever done to a cow, Aaron?
Nothing. I've said, ew, gross. That's the meanest thing I've done to a cow. Cows are gross.
You're nasty.
They're loud and annoying.
Yeah. The first time I got up close to a cow, I was like, oh, man, there's all these flies everywhere.
It's
and
gross.
you smell funny because you're just outside all the time. And they're all snotty, too.
Yes,
they
they're
got snot
ugh.
on their face.
Ugh, I hate them. I don't hate them, but I don't like them.
Aaron was born in a very small town. You want to say the name of the town you grew up in? No. Like around 2,000 people, I want to say.
maybe even less.
I think that the last time we went there, I saw a sign that said population 2,000.
Okay.
And it could have been less when you were growing up there. So, but, or that sign could be really old. Who knows? But that's not a lot of people.
Nope.
And you are not a country person at all.
I'm not. I hated living there.
You immediately assimilated to living in the city.
Yeah, partially because I was used to living in the city. Or
yeah,
not
you
living.
had family that lived here.
I had a lot of family that lived here, so I visited the city often.
Yeah.
So I got accustomed to it real quick. But I've never
No, you didn't.
jived.
You didn't even need to become accustomed to it. You are just a city person. You were like, you know how like trans people will be like, I was in the wrong body?
Yeah.
You were just in the wrong place.
I was born in the wrong town.
You were born a city person in a small town.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Because you love everything about living in the city.
Oh, yeah. I hated everything about living in the country. So.
Yeah. At the beginning of our relationship, I had to make sure that you never wanted to move back to a small area. Because I won't even move to the suburbs.
My dad all the time is like, well, you could just move back and do this. You could be a teacher at our school. And I'm like, no, absolutely not.
Let me move back to a small town where I'll get paid less money to be in a place that I like less. That makes a whole lot of sense.
No, anyways. So they've decided, okay, well, you know what? We'll go hide out by the fields so we can catch him.
They're back at the sheriff's station, and they're looking at a map of where all the farms are, and they're saying, like, he'll probably come here tonight because he's hit all these other farms. Mm-hmm. So, and it's funny, too, because the map that they have little squid stickers.
I didn't realize that.
For all the farms that got hit. And then they're like, all right, let's go grab some guns. Mm-hmm. And then this is where they set up that there's a grenade in the sheriff's office. And they say that somebody tried to go fishing with it.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was like, that is the sweatiest way to set up that they have a grenade.
Well, someone says, we can grab this. And they're like, oh, we don't need that.
Yeah.
And so they go out to their cars, and Starla comes up to the sheriff and says, I need to come with y'all. And he's like, no, because he's trying to protect her. But she says the only way that you can get Brenda back or to figure out where she is to bring Grant back alive. So he realizes, okay, yeah, you're right. So
they need to use her as bait, essentially.
And so they're all hanging out outside of
this is where
farm.
they finally introduced the girl that can see what Grant
Not
sees.
yet.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, they go to her house and they show her eating dinner with her family. And
but she can't see them yet.
No, she hasn't been attacked yet. But they show her nails. They make it a point to show that like she's got nice painted nails because that's going to come back. And they also show that like, she's got a mother and a father and two younger sisters who she's a typical teenage girl. She loves them, but you know, she wants to do her own thing.
Yeah, she's a teenager.
Yeah, typical teenage girl.
So they like say bye to them, which didn't really make a lot of sense initially. I was like, what is happening? Who are these people?
Yeah, they get introduced kind of late in the movie.
But anyways, they so they're driving out, and they're hanging out waiting for Grant to come up to catch a cow.
Right.
And he comes up, and like there's some moments in here where they start talking about jokes, and there's a moment where the sheriff and Starla are reminiscing about a time where she was gonna run away to be a big movie star.
Yeah, they said that she was 12 and he was 14.
And she asked him to go with her to protect her.
Yeah.
But he said no, and then he called her dad.
Yeah.
to come pick her up.
Yeah. And,
so you can tell that he's like a good guy. He wants the best for her.
Right. Yeah. And this funny. The mayor is talking to one of the deputies, and he's like, "You ever have any like you ever get it on with that lady cop or whatever?"
Uh-huh.
And the guy says, "No, she packs a box lunch." which is like
I didn't understand that at all until now.
it
'Cause
doesn't
I
make a
didn't
whole
hear-
lot of sense.
I didn't hear that she was a lesbian earlier.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't get that.
Oh,
I don't think I heard that line.
but he says like, oh, she packs a box lunch, and the mayor's like, oh, that makes sense.
And I didn't understand that at all. But
I
now,
don't. I still don't really understand
because
it.
people call vaginas boxes.
Yeah, I know that, but I don't know. I mean, I got that part of it, but
Yeah.
I don't understand what packing a. Oh, maybe because you eat a box.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Anyways, and then Grant shows up and he looks disgusted. Like he's this blob now. He's no longer
He's
any
got
sort of a
tentacles
human.
everywhere, and he slides along on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and he starts to kill a cow.
Yeah, he goes to kill a cow. And that's when Starla starts coming out because he takes the cow and he starts bringing it into the woods so that Brenda has something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when everyone else, they start following Starla because Starla is the first one to stand up, and everyone else is trying to follow her or follow him. And then one person, Starla says, like, Grant, like, I know that you want the best for me. Like, the thing you need to go tell everyone where she's at, and like this can all be over. Like, so she's trying to reason with him, and you can see that he starts to.
Yeah, he thinks about it because she's like, look, it doesn't matter what you look like. Like,
I love you.
We took a vow.
Yeah.
And whatever, like through thick or thin, forget the exact wording. But he ponders it for a minute, and then one of the posse, who's like a civilian, he's not even a cop, runs up and he's like, "Look, you're going with us one way or another," and he's like pointing a gun at him, and he's like, "Okay." And he whips him with his tentacle, and it splits the guy in half.
Yeah, well, like splices him open.
Yeah.
So it's not a full-on cut through all the way through, but it like kind of slices him, and then he like sits there and he's like, oh, and then he opens up, and then his guts fall out.
Yeah.
Which was pretty funny.
And it was gross, too.
It was gross, but gross and funny.
And it was also one of those things where, like, they do this in movies all the time where they cut somebody in half, and for a second they're like, wait, what happened? And then their body falls apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they go running after him through the woods, and the mayor stops in the woods, and like he's like, "What, are you going to run away, you pussy," or whatever?
Yeah.
And then the deputy's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm trying psychology."
He just says psychology.
But I think what he was trying to do was like reverse psychology.
Yeah.
I love that mayor character. He's out of control.
Yeah, it's really funny.
He's so funny.
But they are kind of trying to follow him, and they're running through the woods, and this one cop kind of sees him in the corner. So they keep chasing him, and they stumble upon the place where they think Brenda is.
Yeah, it's a barn.
Yeah.
And Sheriff Bill goes up and it puts his ear against the door, and you can hear her in there like crying and sobbing. And then him and his deputy do like rock, paper, scissors to see
who's going to go in.
Yeah, who's going to go in first. And he loses, so he
Well,
goes
the other
in.
guy cheats, but
Oh, he did?
yeah, he like puts up rock and then puts his two fingers out.
Oh, I must have missed that.
Yeah.
And then, so they go inside, they open the barn doors, and she's huge. She looks like, kind of like Veruca Salt. Doesn't she get turned into the blueberry? And
Violet Beauregard.
Violet Beauregard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Violet Beauregard turns into there's a part where in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where her mom goes, "Violet, you're turning violet," because she's turning into a blueberry.
Oh, and you mean Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory or Charlie?
No, the second one, Charlie. I don't know if that's a line in this first one.
Okay.
But in the second one, Violet, her mom goes, "Violet, you're turning violet."
Oh, did you like that movie when you were a kid or something?
A little bit.
You did? Okay. I just wondered.
Because I was a kid.
Well, yeah,
It's
I
very
know.
brightly colored, and it was fitting for a kid to watch.
I went to see that in the theater with somebody I worked with, And we're like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, it's because you're an adult.
Yeah, it was. And I didn't even like the original. Like, I didn't grow up watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So, and then, so they go in there and she's like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. I've never been so hungry.
Yeah, and she's like, I didn't know people could be this hungry.
Yeah. And it's cool. Like, I really like I don't know what they did, but it's like this big blow up balloon that's all fleshy. And her head is just poking out of it.
Yeah.
And it looks really good. It's a practical effect and it looks great.
It looks really good.
Yeah, and you can see it like moving, like rippling and stuff. And then she says like, "Hey, can you pass me some of that possum over there? I'm so hungry."
I know. And they're like, "Oh, there's something majorly wrong here. Not just her size, but she's going to eat a possum."
Yeah.
So,
And they're like, maybe we should take her to the hospital. And then one guy's like, how the hell are we supposed to get her to a hospital?
Yeah.
She's taken up this entire barn. They couldn't even get her out of the barn.
but then she starts moving like closer. And she's like, it hurts. It hurts. And then her body starts ripping apart.
Yeah. And it looked bad. It was
Yeah.
it was like some CG ripped. It looked like shit.
Yeah. But she bursts apart and these little snail worm things come out of her body.
Yeah. It's everywhere. It's like a tidal wave. And it starts attacking everybody.
And jumping in everyone's mouth.
Yeah, they climb in people's mouths. And then Sheriff Bill and Banks, they figure out that, like, oh, they got to cover their mouths. And the mayor and then another, and the lesbian
the mayor,
deputy.
when he's in there, it smells bad, so he gags and
Yeah, that's right.
he runs out. So he's not in the barn with everyone else.
Yeah.
But
the lesbian deputy also
yes.
survived. She doesn't
So
have one in her
the
mouth.
lesbian, the sheriff, a deputy, and the mayor. But everyone else that was with them is now infected with this parasite.
Yeah. So all the worms crawl away, and they're like, what the hell happened? So they're like, okay, let's get everybody outside. And Sheriff Bill's like, I'm going to run back to my cruiser so I can get some help out here.
Yeah.
And so they're taking everybody outside. And then the people who had worms crawl in their mouth, they start to come to life. Oh, wait, that's not yet, though.
Yeah.
Then it goes to the teenage girl from earlier, and she's taking a bath.
Yeah, she's about to take a bath, or she is in the bath. She just gets in, and her mom's like, you need to get out of the bathtub. And she's like, no.
Yeah, she puts her headphones on so she can shut her out.
And then the mom goes into her other kid's room and says, okay, well, it's time for bed. And they're like, no, 2 more chapters. Which that's a long time.
I think they said 2 more pages.
Oh, okay, 2 more pages. And she goes, no, because tomorrow's family fun day.
But I guess in your family, it'd be like, oh, can I have a couple more pages? Which could mean
8.
8 more pages.
Who knows?
Yeah, and they say, like, it's going to be family fun day tomorrow, which sounds cute. We should start doing that.
Family fun day.
Yeah.
That's on Sundays. So Brenda's in the bathtub and the mom leaves the kids' room. And we see in the bathroom, there's one of those little slug things slides across the window.
Floor. Oh, yeah, the window.
And then when we're in the kids' room, we see that their window is open. Which, who sleeps with their windows open?
I don't know. I mean, if you live in the Pacific Northwest and the weather's really nice.
Okay. I would be freaked out of anything coming into my window.
Oh.
So I wouldn't have my window open.
I remember the last
like
time.
a snake. A snake could go in there. Especially if your house is warm compared to outside. No.
I remember one time we slept with our window open because our air conditioning broke. Mm-hmm. And it was too late for the apartment fixing guy, whatever, to come and do it. And we lived right by the freeway at that time. You remember that?
Yeah.
So there was like trucks going by, like,
Yeah.
and we're like trying to sleep. That was awful.
So what happens?
The
so-
slug swims through the bath.
Yeah, the slug like goes on the tile floor. It comes through the window and it goes inside her bath water.
And it looks cool as hell, like when it's swimming.
That's the part where it looks like sperm.
Yeah.
And you see like a shot from it from behind, so it's like in between her legs to her face, with this little slug swimming towards her. And that's when she opens her mouth and she starts screaming and it jumps in her mouth, but she bites down and she's trying to pull it out.
And she sticks her nails in it.
Oh, okay.
That's why they set up her nails earlier in the movie. They get that glory shot of her nice painted nails, is because she bites it and shoves her nails in it.
Mm-hmm. So it can't go in her mouth.
Yeah. And then she throws it on the ground and she takes a hair iron, which was plugged in for no reason, and burns the slug with it. And it looks cool as hell.
Yeah.
Because it was all practical. So then she runs out of the bathroom.
And she's like yelling for her mom. And her mom comes out of her room with a slug just sucked down her throat.
Yeah. And then she spits blood on her or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she's finding out her whole family has been infected. And she runs off of the porch and falls on the ground.
She runs off the roof.
Yeah, she runs off the roof that was covering
She
their
goes out the
porch.
window, though.
Yeah, she goes out the window and the roof that is their porch.
Oh, okay.
And she jumps off of it.
Their porch roof.
Their porch roof.
But she jumps off, and then there's these slugs chasing her, and she gets into a truck.
Yeah.
And shuts all the doors. But then you see all these little shadows. It starts. I thought it was a cool effect where it was little crawly things crawling all over the car, and you just see her and their shadows, and it gets darker and darker because there's more of them.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. And then it goes back to the barn.
Hey, pause for 1 second. He is dreaming.
Dreaming?
I don't know what about. But he's dreaming.
Is he doing that thing where dogs
Yeah.
move their legs? It's okay, Giuseppe. You'll
Sweet.
get that squirrel. You go get that
Get
squirrel.
it. But his eyes are barely open. It looked like it was rolled in the back of his head. Oh, there it goes.
So then back at the barn, the sheriff had left to go get help. And then the mayor is ranting and raving about a biological warfare. And he said it smelled like rotten mayonnaise in there. And he's like, I'm going to sue the government and all this shit. Mm-hmm. And he tells the lesbian, he's like, you can sue right alongside me. I don't care if you're a lesbo.
Yeah. And then Stella is, I guess she's on the phone with someone. She's talking to someone off on the side. Oh, no. She's trying to get water.
Yeah. And then that's when the deputy wakes up.
Yeah.
And he's talking like Grant.
Yeah. And he's saying things that she's said before to Grant.
Yeah.
So it's kind of freaky. They're like, what's going on? And then all of them start waking up because the other deputy's like, what is going on?
Yeah. And he says I'm sorry that I tried to kill you or pump all this stuff in you, but it's in my nature. You can't expect me to do something that's not in my nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then all of the woken up zombie people now, they all speak in unison, and they all think the same because their brains are all tied to Grant, who's the main alien.
The main host.
Yeah. And then it goes back to the teenage girl, and the family comes out of the house, and they're banging on the truck, and they're trying to get her to come out, and they're like, "Come on, it's family fun day," and all this stuff.
But this is one moment where they're banging on the window, and her mom goes, "Open this door, you whore."
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah,
you can see also the vocabulary of the little creature is advanced too.
Yeah. Well, I think they can have all the memories and all the feelings of their host, because when they took over Grant's body, that's why they were able to feel love for Starla is because
Yeah.
they had those emotions and those memories inside there.
Also, when the girl that was in the bathtub, whenever that creature goes in her mouth and she like bites down and like puts her fingernails in it, it still goes into her brain, and you can see that she's kind of convulsing and she's seeing what its origins
Yeah,
are.
we forgot to bring that up. Yeah, she sees like flashes of like being on other planets and the slugs are taking over different animals and eating them and all that type of stuff. And then it goes back to the barn, and then I think one of them spits acid.
Yes, that well, because the girl's trying to, I guess, reason with them, like to, because like they're kind of like encroaching on Starla, and one of the other people like grabs her and is like holding her outward, and then the other cop guy shoots acid at her, and it starts eating at her face.
Yeah, that's right. And then it goes back to the truck, and her family is got a big rock, and they're going to smash the truck open. But that's when the sheriff shows up, and he's like, because his car is parked in front of their house, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on over there?" And he distracts them long enough that she can get out of the car, and then she runs over to him
And tells them that they're not themselves anymore.
Yeah. And then he gets attacked from behind by some people that have been taken over by the slug.
And then he shoots her parents.
Yeah.
Her family.
Yeah, he shoots them, and then they run to the car. And then while they're in the car, they see the whole group of other people run out of the woods.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh my God, this like they're really working my like laid back nature or whatever." I forget what the exact line is.
But they're like, the guys are chasing Starla and the mayor out of the woods.
Right.
And something happens, and Starla like stabs one of the alien guys through the head.
Yeah, he was attacking her, and then like someone hit it with a car, right?
Yeah, well, they were running after the mayor, and that's when the sheriff hits him with the car.
Yeah.
But also, whenever the sheriff shoots, I think the dad, you can see the worm thing, or maybe it was her mom. You see the worm thing like kind of jump out of their head.
Yeah.
So
weird. Yeah, I remember that. And then she stabs the deputy with like one of those weird green poles that you see on the side of the road.
a fencing pole.
Yeah, a fencing pole. That's it. And the mayor's like, "Well, damn, she's hardcore." So you're kind of getting throughout this movie. They keep hitting on the theme, especially with Elizabeth Banks's character, that she is like fit to survive her surroundings, right? So they keep hitting on that theme.
The people that do survive or the survival are the fittest.
Yeah, and she understands like every step of the way. She has a good plan and a good idea. Like she knows she's the only one who's going to get the grant to be able to talk sense to him, and then she's also not afraid to kill any of the zombies and stuff like that. So, and then they're in the car driving, and they call dispatch, and it's the lady from the office, and they're like, she's like, or no, they say to her like, "You got to get the CDC."
Yeah, get
here.
the CDC now. And so she's like, "Okay," and she doesn't say okay. She just nods, and he goes, "Are you nodding?"
Yeah.
Because
Shelby, are you nodding? Oh, yeah.
because I guess she's kind of like a little ditzy, maybe.
Yeah, that's definitely what they were trying to set up. They didn't have enough time to develop her character.
No.
She doesn't have a good character game at all.
But right after she gets off the phone, she starts doing something, and then there's little drops of blood that drip down on her keyboard. And so she looks up, and then all of these little worm thingies come out of a vent.
Yeah. And she is now infected, or what should we call it? Infected?
Yeah, I guess.
Parasited? They got Lyme disease. And then it goes back to the cop car, and the mayor is freaking out because they didn't pack any Mr. Pibb.
Oh yeah, he's like, that's the only thing I asked Shelby to do is give me Mr. Pibb, and like he's like yelling.
Yeah. And do you like Mr. Pibb?
No, it's like Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was waiting for you to say, yeah, Mr. Pibb is pretty good. I'd be like, it's
Gross.
Dr. Pepper. But then that's when the teenage girl tells about her vision. She's like, I saw everything when the slug crawled in my mouth. And they just go from planet to planet, and they kill everything on the planet, and then they moved to another
They
planet.
move to the next one.
Yeah.
So he dispatches again to Shelby, and he's like, Shelby, like, I don't remember what he says to her, but then she says, you can tell that she's been infected.
Yeah.
And then it shows a shot, like the people in the car can tell that she's been infected because the way she's talking. But then also there's a shot of her and her mouth's all bloody and she's like kind of all crazy looking.
Yeah.
And she says, well, someone's coming for you.
And then she looks right at camera,
Yeah.
like they used to do on The Office all the time.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and then she's like, I've got a surprise for you. And then they
Coming
get
around
hit,
the corner anytime.
yeah, and they get hit by a truck. And their car hits a sign that says Jesus saves. Mm-hmm. And then the zombies come and pull Starla out of the car.
Yeah. And they like lift her up and I guess I don't guess. I know. They're taking her to
Yeah.
wherever he is.
They don't try to attack her or hurt her or do anything to her.
And you're like, why are they not attacking her? Like you're
well, you immediately know it's like, oh, Grant
yeah.
wants her back.
But also it's like we know that like you think, oh, well, why aren't they attacking her? And then you realize exactly what you just said. Anyways, but then they start going after the sheriff and the girl and the mayor.
Yeah, and then they have to hide. Mm-hmm. They run and hide, and they make their way back to the sheriff's office
Because he's going to go get the grenade.
Yeah, because they need to get the grenade, and while he's in there, he gets attacked by a deer who's been
Yes.
inhabited, which is so funny.
That was one of the funniest parts.
Yeah, this is definitely funny, and what makes it really funny is that the deer is a puppet, right? So
yeah.
he's like fighting like this ugly looking parasite inhabited deer, and he's getting his ass kicked by this deer.
Also in the woods, you see this deer eating someone or something, like an animal.
Oh.
Because it's also been inhabited, so it wants to eat meat, which is not in a deer's nature.
Yeah. Deer don't eat any meat at all.
No, they're omnivores.
Omnivores eat everything, I thought.
They're herbivores.
Oh, herbivores. Okay. I didn't know. Makes sense. But anyway, so he's getting his ass handed to him by this puppet deer, and the teenage girl comes in and hits it with a fire extinguisher.
Yeah. And then they get their grenade and they leave, and he tells her like, well, he goes, thank you for saving me, but later on I'm going to say it was the other way around. And she's like, what? And she's like, he says, it's going to be the other way around when I explain it. Like, I saved you. And she's like, oh, okay, whatever.
And then that cuts to
There's another really
Starla.
funny line that I forgot to say. It's hard to see my notes from over here. But another funny line. So early in the movie when Starla sees Grant and she's like, what happened to you? And he's like, oh, it was bee stings. Later on, when they're at, I think her name is Kylie or something like that in the movie. But the girl that can see to the host, she says when they're, oh my gosh, the sheriff asks her dad, what happened to you? And he goes, oh, probably some poison ivy out back. So there's that little theme going throughout, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, so then it goes to Grant's house, and Starla is laying in bed, and all the goons are like doing her hair.
Yeah, and getting her
putting-
ready.
Yeah, giving her a glow up, as I put in my notes.
Mm.
And then Then it cuts away again to the sheriff and the teenage girl watching the goons kill something or someone, and then
And she says, "Oh well, they're preparing him for. There's some people that are going to be breeders, and there's people that are the food.
Yeah, but either way, they have to take them to the house. So they decide to follow those goons when they take the body back to the house. And
Because they said, well, whenever one sees you, everyone can see you.
right, yeah, so they have to stay out of sight and be very careful. And then it cuts to the mayor.
Yeah, because he was taken by them also.
Oh, but he's going to be used as a breeder. That's
Yes.
why he's still alive.
Yeah, well, they eventually, like, they take him to him, and then they breed him.
Yeah, they do breed him, but
Yeah.
not yet, not quite yet.
Oh, okay.
And he's in the basement and he sees people eating like the dead animals, so he leaves the basement. He tries to run out.
That's right. But like he's looking at them, and all of the people that are eating, they're like, "Don't judge me!" Like,
Oh yeah, that's right.
and this one lady who's been eating something like chases him upstairs, and that's when the Grant breeds him.
Yeah, he gets stuck with the little tentacle thingies. And then it shows Starla upstairs, and she is like in a nice gown, and she finds
It's like a nightgown.
Yeah, it's like a nightgown. Yeah, gown kind of evokes something else. But she finds a brush that's like a heavy metal brush with a sharp tip on it, and she takes the brush part out of it and then hides it in her underwear under the nightgown.
So she's like, okay, well, because she's looking at the windows and they're all boarded up, so she can't leave.
Right.
So she says, okay, well, the only way out of here is to kill him and leave.
Yeah, she has to go confront him. So she goes downstairs and she sees pics of herself put up everywhere, and Every Woman in the World. That song is playing.
Yeah, well, you see a tentacle like play the music.
Oh,
which I
yeah,
thought
that's
was another
right.
funny part.
Yeah, because Grant's still in there a little bit somewhere. And that's when the sheriff stumbles up on the
Well,
house.
even if he's not
Well, like his feelings.
yeah, I know,
not his
but even if
consciousness.
he's not, that was the same song that she played whenever they first had sex.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah, but it's a through line because it's like their song or whatever.
yeah,
From when they were dating. Pretty lame song. What's our song?
No One's Gonna Love You.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the one we played at a wedding. but
Yeah,
like,
I would say our song is
probably a Tenacious D. Because I would think about
love you, baby.
I think about early in our relationship, and we were listening to like Tenacious D and Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
So maybe ours is like the Angel song.
I don't know. I don't know. There's so many that like it's just like whenever I hear them I think of you. So
Oh, how cute.
sometimes you hear songs and you think of me too. Like you sent me one time that song. It was like a remix version
Of I Love You, Baby.
yeah.
Yeah, I got into a truck at work. You know, when you get in someone else's car and you turn it on, the radio comes on, and that just happened to be playing on the radio.
Yeah.
That was funny.
It was real sweet. When I got that I was blushing. Anywho.
So they find the house, and this is where the teenage girl tells the sheriff, like, this is where they come to be part of the grant or whatever. And he's like absorbing people
Yeah.
into his body, his weird body.
Yeah.
And he's huge. He like takes up the entire living room.
Well, one of the people that were infected with the worms like takes off their clothes and then they lay down on them and you see them like getting absorbed into it.
Yeah, it's weird.
It was, but it's kind of cool looking.
Yeah.
So there's all these people's faces also around Grant when Starla goes into the room where he's at, and she's like, "Oh, you did such a great job." decorating. I know you never wanted to hurt me. So she's trying to get close to him, and you can see him crying.
Yeah, and he's also like, he's upset because he's like, you're trying to fuck that sheriff guy, and like, you're a whore, and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, no, like, I care about you still, and like, I appreciate that you did all this stuff for me. And then she goes in real close and goes in for a kiss, and then pulls out the
mirror, or not the mirror, the brush.
the brush, and stabs him in the head with it. But he's not quite dead yet.
Yeah.
So what does he do? He like throws her or something?
Yeah, he like slings her across the room a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And some of the other creatures see the sheriff and that girl, and so they start chasing them.
Yeah. Yeah, there's zombie guys coming in like from way out in the field because now they've seen them, so every single one of them knows
coming.
So it really, really ups the stakes in that moment.
And he has the grenade, so he gets to the house. I don't remember what happens in between that, but he gets into the house and he like sets the grenade, and then he like
pulls the pin on it.
Yeah.
And then he holds up his arm to throw it, and he uses a tentacle to swat it out of his hand.
Yeah.
And it goes like behind a couch.
And they're like, "Oh shit! Like we gotta go get it." So they run behind the couch, and then they like pull it away, and they find it, and then it pushes the sheriff out of the house next to the pool, and you see it drop into the pool.
Yeah.
And then explode.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Well, shit."
And if you ever want to know, those grenades have about a 3-second fuse on them. So when you let go of the spoon that flips off of it, you got about 3 seconds to throw it, or it's going to blow up. But in all these movies, anytime they have a grenade, it's like it can be anywhere from instantly to like 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But they are definitely not that long.
So
then you think like, oh, they're really fucked. They don't have the
anything to do. And then you see the tentacles coming out of the house where he pushed him through the wall.
Yeah. And then it's always 2 tentacles that he sticks in the person. But he only manages to get one in the sheriff. And the sheriff is like laying next to a propane bottle.
And he puts the propane and somehow screws it onto his tentacles are threaded. But he like screws it onto the propane tank. And you see it start shooting into the...
Yeah, you see the gas go inside of Grant, and he tells Starla to shoot him, and she does, and he blows up. And the explosion, like the flames and stuff, are CG or something.
I don't know.
It looked bad.
Yeah.
The part where all the goop flings everywhere, that looked fine. But
but the actual fire...
Yeah, it looked pretty bad. But anyway, that's the end of it. All the zombies just fall down because their main consciousness now is dead.
Yeah, but also Grant was stuck with one of the tentacles. And so Starla goes up and's like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" Like, and then the girl that can see things, or that knows all of it,
she's
says,
clairvoyant.
Well, is she though? Because
I don't know.
I don't think she can keep seeing it. But she says, "Oh, it only works if both tentacles are inside." And I was like, "That's convenient."
Yeah, you knew it would be something like that.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't matter anyway because like all the zombies that were fully infected immediately dropped dead. So he would have either dropped dead.
And I wonder if all of the people that were breeders also died.
I don't know.
Or if the things inside them died. Because they're conscious and they were only eating that raw meat to feed the little things inside them.
I don't know.
So there's a bunch of obese people.
Yeah, that's a good
in
question.
the bottom of their house.
Yeah. So anyway, they're walking out of the house and it's like morning time. And Starla says, "I bet you regret not going with me to Hollywood now." And he's like, "Oh, I always regretted that."
Aww.
So,
I didn't hear him say that.
Yeah. So you kind of get the feeling that they're going to have a romantic relationship after that.
Yeah. And then also there's one point where they're walking out of the house and he tells the younger girl, "Hey, tell her that time where I saved you from that deer." And she goes, "What?" And he goes, "You know, when I saved you from that deer." And she goes, "Oh, yeah, he saved me from a deer," which
Yeah.
is funny.
And then they start playing a song. That was pretty funny. How did it go?
I love you, but get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So that is the 2006 movie Slither.
Slither.
Aaron, I have to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 9 cat lives, how many cat lives did this movie slay?
I'm gonna give it a solid 6 cat lives. It was pretty funny. It was decently done. It was shot pretty well. But I mean, wasn't the best script. So I mean, it was pretty good. I would watch it if you were watching it, but I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, I want to watch Slither. But if other people were saying like, oh, I've heard about Slither, will you watch it with me? I would be like, okay, but I'm not gonna seek it out,
Right.
Yeah. So that's mine. But my question is, Joey, how many cat lives would you give the show?
I am going to go with you and be in the hand-holding club with you and say this movie is 6 out of 9 lives.
As I hold his hand.
Yeah, we're holding hands right now. But this is a great horror movie. It's got a lot of really good actors in it, which a lot of horror movies can't really seem to get good actors.
Yeah.
It's definitely funny. It's definitely gory. It's got everything a good horror movie needs, except for it's kind of a common thing. This movie got criticized for being like a lot of other movies, specifically Night of the Creeps, which is a 1986 movie. And you just see it's derivative of so many other horror movies.
Yeah.
And
it seemed like it was being like a spoofy movie without being so spoofy.
Yeah, but still, it's more, it wasn't a spoof. It's not a comedy. It's mostly a horror movie, and it's very derivative, which you see a lot in the horror genre. A good horror movie will come out, and everybody wants to imitate it. And that is a big part of this. And the reason it looks so good and it's so well directed is because it's James Gunn, and he went on to do major motion pictures. He made Marvel movies. So that's why it looks so good and why it works and everything in the script works. But I just can't really give it that high of a score just because it's so derivative of other works.
Yeah.
But if you love horror movies, especially monster movies or aliens or aliens,
infecting kind of movies,
Invasion of the Body Snatchers, this is a good movie for you.
Yeah.
And I've watched this movie probably 5 or 6 times at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's worth a watch, but I'm not going to give it that high of a score.
We didn't plan a game at all.
I just completely forgot that we didn't plan a game at all.
What I'm going to do is we're going to play...
Why don't you make up another song like you did?
Make up another song?
Yeah, when I went to get Joliet on our last episode, you sang a song.
Yeah.
That you made up off the top of your head. That was really funny.
Well...
You said something about them peeing their pants and climbing trees.
Yeah. I don't know what it was about. I was just saying words. I don't know. I was going to say we could play a game of Would You Rather horror movie aversion.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I would just say, this episode's already almost 2 hours. We can just say we can play a game next time. But if you want to, I'm totally game. I'm like that 11-year-old girl. I'm game.
Okay. So these are this version is badly explained horror films. So they're going to be explained pretty badly. So you're going to have to figure out, which would I? If you can figure out what it is, that's great. But also, which would you rather?
Why don't we just play a game of?
Oh yeah, done.
You just explain a horror movie badly, and I'll see if I can name it.
Okay.
Because I'm used to be a huge horror genre fan.
Teenagers in a cabin learn the dangers of reading.
Evil Dead?
Yeah.
I would have said Friday the 13th, but you said dangers of reading. I was like, they read the Necronomicon.
A very generous clown shows 7 kids the meaning of friendship.
Attack. No. It.
Yeah.
God, I love that TV series.
Space trucking beekeepers freak out after one of them loses his lunch.
Space trekking beekeepers?
Space trucking beekeepers freak out after one of them loses his lunch. This one's hard. We've watched it before and done an episode of it.
Space trucking?
That's what it says.
Is it Alien?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Saying that we've done it before really narrowed it down for me.
Yeah. A group of people go to the pub to wait for everything to blow over.
Shaun of the Dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this lady gets screwed over by old religious people, loses custody of her kid, and is it totally has its father's eyes.
Rosemary's Baby?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was good.
I'm good at this.
A determined young man seeks to reunite with his long-lost sister while impersonating William Shatner.
Impersonating William Shatner?
Mm-hmm. A determined young man seeks to reunite with his long-lost sister while impersonating William Shatner.
Oh, Halloween.
Yeah.
It wasn't his sister yet in the first movie, but
3 drunks illegally kill a great white shark and sink their boat in the process.
Jaws.
Yeah.
That's a good description. I like that.
Teenagers learn about the horrors of living with a ghost sex disease.
A ghost sex disease? Say it again.
Teenagers learn about the horrors of living with a ghost sex disease.
Oh, this is the first one I'm going to get wrong. A ghost sex disease.
I don't know if you've seen this or not.
Is it like a
I've never
sexually
seen
transmitted disease that turns you into a zombie?
Well, it says sexually. Someone says, I believe the correct term is sexually transmitted demon.
I don't know.
It Follows?
Oh, yeah, I've never seen that.
Okay.
Now I want to see it, though.
I know, yeah, that sounds interesting. Teens go on a killing spree because a girl wants to stay a virgin and her mom was a slut.
Girl wants to stay a virgin and her mom was a slut.
And some teens go on a killing spree because of that.
Teens go on a killing spree.
Teens go on. Whenever I read this, I was like, yep. Teens go on a killing spree because girl wants to stay a virgin and her mom was a slut.
I don't know.
Scream.
Oh my God. I haven't seen Scream in so many years. We should do a Scream month where we watch, because I only saw the first one. There's all those sequels I never saw. So.
Where's
Anyway.
a month that has Scream in it?
Screamvember.
Screamuary.
Screamuary. Screamtober. Discreamber.
Discreamber. I like that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. So, you guys, we're not doing Christmas movies. We're going to do Discreamber.
Yep. If you don't like that, well, go fuck off.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
I'm just kidding.
Please listen to our show.
Yeah, if you want to fuck yourself, you can. That's your discretion.
Yeah, you never know. It could feel good.
I mean, most of the time it probably does.
Yeah. Yeah, probably most of the time.
It's a masturbating.
You must be doing it really wrong if it hurts.
Yeah.
If it feels bad.
Well, I mean, like, some people like that. So.
Yeah, people are into some weird stuff. Hey, this podcast is sex positive.
Sex positive.
However you like to
Positively
do
sexual.
it, whatever's consensual, go ahead and get it on.
Yeah.
All right.
All
So
about consent, too.
if you want to write in about your weird consensual sex, it's joeyanderinpod@gmail.com. Tell us all about it. You have anything else you want to say?
Nope.
Okay. Don't forget to slay and neuter your cats, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.